Hello and welcome back to the Fit for Business and Life podcast. The Fit for Business and Life podcast is brought to you in partnership with Sharp, Fit for Life and the Business Body Network, improving the performance and transforming busy, overwhelmed, overworked and overweight professionals, business owners and consultants along with their teams to become fitter, happier and more confident. The Fit for Business and Life podcast is all about sharing passion, knowledge and experience around business and personal performance from our hosts, myself, Martin Sharp, a 30-year change maker in businesses large and small, and Dominic Furness, a world traveller and life enthusiast, plus special guests sharing their know-how, their experience in making changes in business and themselves, featuring inspirational stories, insights, tips and practical knowledge, bringing more healthier, happier and higher achievement to your world. Why not follow the podcast? We are live on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon Music. If you are watching this on YouTube, then please hit that subscribe button and drop us a like. We very much appreciate your support. Now, sit back and enjoy the episode of Fit for Business and Life podcast, brought to you in partnership with Fit for Business and Life and the Business Body Network. And today, we're going to talk about
moderation.
So we're going to keep our running theme for this episode as well. So specifically, we're looking at the moderation side of running. Now, when it comes to the moderation side of running, what kind of things come to your mind?
I would say like moderate, like the rest and recovery period of it, like as in like, i.e., how much you run versus don't run, perhaps, or like the moderation in the food you're eating, the moderation in like. I don't know because I'm not a runner.
I think you were spot on when you said about rest and recovery, really, because there's no kind of denying it. Sleep is probably the number one factor that affects everybody. People that don't get enough sleep, they don't recover well enough, and it means that impacts their performance in the next day. And it's not exclusively for running. This is for everything in life. This is whether you're dealing with things from mental capability, whether you're doing it from physical capability, emotional, etc. Everything kind of relies on us having the right amount of sleep and actually having the good quality of sleep as well. And when that's kind of disturbed, it kind of causes some significant issues.
Yeah, it definitely does. Like, I did used to not place too much value in sleep, possibly just because I'm young, but definitely as I'm getting a bit older, like getting the sleeping patterns dialed in has definitely helped me with my rest and recovery and the moderation around like the things that I do. So I can imagine that can be applied to running as well. As you said, you can apply it to literally anything.
Yeah, definitely. And it's interesting, again, when you start looking at some of the studies around certainly how people are utilizing rest and recovery, a lot of people actually sacrifice their sleep, especially busy professionals. It's kind of in some places seen as a badge of honor. The less sleep you get, obviously, the more hard work you are, the more hustle you've got inside you. But the thing is, that actually is quite a negative. And
yeah, a lot of like professionals like that do seem to try to be like a night owl and an early bird at the same time.
Yeah, and I think in those cases, in many of them, it will just be a case of they just either burn themselves out or they become less effective, less efficient in being able to get the work done. So it just takes them longer.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the same with running. You know, if you're not getting the rest and recovery time in, then no matter how much running you're doing, all that's happening is your body's not able to repair itself. So you're in a position where you're just going to end up getting more injury.
Yeah, you're either stuck in the mud, or, like you're not making progress. You're probably like regressing, if nothing else.
Oh, definitely. I mean, there's definitely that regression piece. If you're not giving yourself the body's time to repair itself, then how's it going to be able to actually work and perform better the next time?
Yeah, that completely makes sense. As with everything else.
Yeah, so I think the whole piece around actually having enough sleep, making sure that you're actually getting that quality sleep, that quality rest is kind of paramount. So that's again setting yourself up to have that sleep in the right kind of way.
Is there anything you can do other than sleep to moderate?
Oh, there's lots of things, but let's finish talking about sleep first before we divert people into a completely different area. Because I think,
sure,
again, you're quite good. You've got some great patterns, some great habits now of actually calming yourself down before you go to bed. You kind of have a nice way of being able to get your mind and your body into a position where it's actually ready for that rest and relaxing.
Oh, when it's summertime, I literally have to, like, because I think this is the time of year where it does run the risk of being a night owl and an early bird, because to me, if the birds are chirping, like, I just want to be awake, and I do find it hard to be inside when the sun's shining. And in the UK at this, not quite this time of year, but in a few months, like it will be like beaming sunshine at 10 p.m. and it's just a bit of a weird one to try like rest and relax. So I have tried to build in a bit of a routine early so I can send signals to myself that it is going to be bedtime soon.
Yeah, and that's quite important. I mean, certainly for people that are very busy, just being on your phone or answering messages, etc.
Yeah, no, that's the worst one. Like I always thought like I could never sleep early. The problem, I'm not going to name drop. I was going to say the iPhone, but can't do that. Like just phones in general, like it really does make you not realize that you're tired. Like if you literally just put your phone away, you will be exhausted. Like it's crazy. Like if I'm on my phone, I can stay up like an extra like 3 hours. If I don't have it, I'm just tired and I go to bed.
Yeah.
And I mean, you weren't the biggest believer of this, but after like trialing it, I wasn't either, but after trialing it, I do kind of believe, whether placebo or not, that different types of lighting do help. Like through the winter, I use the bright, what are they called? I don't know, like brand drop. What are they called?
Oh, yeah, so, you've got one of the
Like the Lumia lamps, but what's the actual like
so,
daylight light? But it's not. It's got a special word.
Yeah, I know what you mean. So I think there's this kind of two parts to that. So one is I'm very much an advocate of the right kind of lighting, right situation. So you turn the temperature of the light down if you want to start to go into kind of more sleep and relax mode. So go for like the warm white kind of colors in things like bedrooms and stuff. Use blackout blinds to kind of stop that kind of daylight coming in, and that kind of removes a lot of kind of the blue light, that kind of thing that actually lowers your what is it?
Well, it's the circadian rhythm.
Yeah, circadian rhythm.
Well, what were you going to say about serotonin?
Melanin.
Melanin.
Yeah, so the sleep kind of hormone, when it kind of kicks in,
right,
so you've got the blue light that goes on, that kind of then dissipates.
Yeah. But a lot of the stuff that I'm doing around my routine is getting the circadian rhythm in check. Circadian rhythm, by like waking up, bright light. Like now that it's summertime-ish, almost, we're in double digits, it's summer. You can get the light. The UK and Scandinavia really do have a problem with light. Like if you listen to this from America or something, you probably won't know like what we're talking about. But like in winter, there's just none. Like there's no daylight. So to get that circadian rhythm in place, start the day with a bright light. And then I am currently finishing my day with like red lighting, but it is quite guinea pig hutchy. I know that like that's not for everybody's taste, but it's all right.
And again, it just depends on how sensitive you are to light. But you are right in the fact that lighting does affect things. I think the bit that we kind of differed on was the research around having an incredibly bright, almost like blue light, shining in your face for half an hour in the morning. I think that's there's still question marks over whether that works or not. But if it works for you, that's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah, and there's still question marks for me as well, because it doesn't make sense that you're trying to do something so natural, like you're trying to do it for a natural cause to naturally get your circadian rhythm back in rhythm by doing it with the most artificial thing you possibly could. Like it seems counterintuitive to be trying to do something naturally with something so unnatural. So yeah, but like I was trying to raise the point with like my girlfriend the other day actually, that like I can't sleep in the summer because the birds are chirping, it's bright outside, and like even if I shut my curtains, I shut my blinds, I know that it's light outside. So in my brain, I'm like, well, I'm just cheating it. But then she said, well, what about in winter when you're inside and all the lights are on? Like you don't think twice about that. And I was like, that's a very valid point. So
yeah, I mean, some things it's a case of how much of a problem do people create for themselves, as opposed to being how much of it is a problem. But I do know, for example, you are more sensitive when it comes down to the conditions that you sleep in. So you need to have the room slightly cooler. You need to make sure you've got the lighting right, etc. And other people, they can get away with less.
I'd say more modern times, I disagree. The only thing that I can't stand is like people talking. But like from like doing a fair bit of traveling and being in hostels, I'd say that I'm a bit better at like sleeping with the lights on, etc. Because you just throw a t-shirt over your head. But if that is what you're saying, in the fact that I still need that darkness,
yeah,
then that kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
But I'm not quite as princess and the pea, as I perhaps used to be.
Yeah. Well, that's just part of growing up, mate. That's just.
But yeah, keeping the room cool is like such a biggie. Like it is tough, but there's science behind that though, because like if your core temperature is too high, you can't really sleep because, like, in the deep sleep, your body temperature, your core temperature drops, and then when you wake up in the morning, like, it's in cycles again, but theoretically, in the morning, you should be at, like, your hottest of the day, and if your room's, like, too hot through the night when you're actually meant to be at your coolest, you can't sleep, and that is, like, scientifically a thing. I wanna know if there's, like, studies around it from people who know about this, like, heat up and cool down of the core versus don't know, and how much their sleep is actually affected by, like, body temperature, because, like, I don't wake up boiling hot, but, like, in theory, you should. Um,
I don't
but
think
I also now know and don't wake up boiling hot, so I don't know. But I think my activity gets my core temperature too high on the nighttime, then if you can't cool down, you can't sleep.
Yeah. Well, again, that's why having that kind of rest period beforehand. So you're spending a little bit of time actually bringing your body down, calming it down, giving itself that kind of ability to to, to get rid of the day. You can bring your heart rate down, you bring your mind out of it, you just get rid of all that rubbish. You're almost like trying to enact and activate your parasympathetic nervous system.
Yeah, it's a cool down thing, and that's a beautiful segue actually into, like, how you can bring that into, like, probably after running to like, put a cool down in there, and, like, in the gym to put a cool down in there, like, for me in the gym, it's stretching. So yeah, like, you just gotta get your body in that, yeah, like, parasympathetic system. Possibly not for too long after running, I'd imagine, 'cause you still gotta get on with your day. But is there an element of that to it, like a warm up and a cool down, or am I wrong?
No, you still do warm up and cool down. Again, you don't want to come straight out of a run and stop. I mean, that's where you can do damage. Things can start to get very tight, and and it won't feel nice either. Which is the other side of it, as you kind of go into those positions, kind of cramping. And so having that kind of cool down routine afterwards, even if it's just a walk afterwards, where maybe for the next, I don't know, 500 meters or so, it gives you enough just to be able to start to again bring your body back under control, stop it from being at this very high rate of intensity that you've been working at, back to now the kind of normal, lower, moderate kind of rate of what you would do on a day to day basis. So there is a bit of that.
Good, that was cool insight, thank you.
Yeah, no, you're welcome. And again, it's scheduling in things like that kind of rest periods, because one thing that a lot of people think about, and I was definitely one of those, is it's great to have the idea I'm going to work out at this period, but actually you've got those things beforehand, the kind of the prep things that you need to do. You've got the things to do afterwards to make sure that you take the best advantage of it. We talked a little bit about that around the meals, for example.
Yeah, I discovered that too big time as well, like, it's yeah, okay, like, the gym workout takes 45 minutes. But then, yeah, there's the bits before and the bit after, and then the gap between having some, like, protein and making sure you, like, eat before. Like, again, I think this is quite, like, gender dependent, right? Like, when it comes using food specifically as an example, like, I think men can do a workout faster. They're not possibly the most ideal, but you disagreeing here?
Whether you can or you should are two different things.
No, but I think a man's is, I want to say anatomy, but that's the wrong word. Is going to be better at doing something faster than a woman.
Not really.
Okay, I'm wrong. Well, I might not be wrong. There needs to be further research. I don't know. This is just conversation. Like, I still kind of believe my point is true, but
I think it depends on what the output is you're looking for. And I think that's the bit that you've missed on, is that what that kind of goal piece is. So, for example, if you're doing weight training, you're looking to improve your strength or your speed, etc., in some of these works, or the amount that you can actually lift, then training without food, actually all that happens is you then cannibalize your muscles. So because it needs to find fuel from somewhere, you do the training, which gives you the stimulus, and then you bring yourself some more fuel afterwards, which is just bringing you back to where you were before you even started, if you're lucky. In many cases, what will happen is the body will actually store much of that food as body fat, because it's kind of thinking, okay, now I need to have that energy available to me, because that energy wasn't then. So that's kind of one of the things to kind of think about. But things like, for example, running obviously it utilizes, it's more of a cardiovascular activity and aerobic activity. So it's going to utilize that kind of muscle-borne glycogen, liver-borne glycogen, like we talked about before, which might be free inside your body. So, for example, if you've had your overnight sleep, you won't have eaten overnight, you can then get up in the morning, your body's already in a fasted state. So it will be utilizing whatever you've got in your body as energy. So there is a theory that says you could actually then start to go running and your body's already in that position of utilizing your alternative energy stores. It's not utilizing food directly as your energy store.
Right, and that doesn't differ from man to woman from like a hormonal perspective.
No, that's
I'm listening. Like, I'm not going to fully believe it because, like, it's just one person's opinion. Like,
and you shouldn't
without being rude.
No,
but,
no,
like,
100%. You shouldn't fully believe it. I mean, this is one of the things we always say: is go away, do your own research. You find the information that actually works best for you. So look at the studies, look at the information you find, and then you follow that kind of pattern.
Yeah.
Some things you'll think, okay, great, I agree with it. Others you won't. And the thing with a lot of the scientific research is you will find potentially as many for versus against type of studies.
Yeah,
So
it's like a big world of Reddit, really.
yeah, so you have to kind of really read the details, and then you make up your own mind. And
Yeah, based on your own body too, because like I'm saying all this, but if I did not eat before a workout, I would just probably pass away. So
yeah. And the thing was, you were doing that for quite a while, if you remember, right at the beginning when we started.
I don't remember that. To be fair.
Yeah, when we started doing the weight training, you weren't eating breakfast beforehand, and then you weren't getting the improvements, etc. That was kind of the thing. This was back last year when we started, and you weren't getting the improvements. That was kind of getting frustrating for you. I says, well, you do need to have your meal beforehand, and that was the kind of first time you thought, actually, yeah, I should do that.
Yeah, and my sleep schedule wasn't dialed in either, and I moved a lot less. Like I would say, from that time period to now, like a lot has changed. Like,
oh yeah,
from sleep to food to movement to like everything is different, basically. So
definitely.
can't really compare apples to apples on that one, but yes, you are correct in the fact that I do remember doing that now that you've told me, and not eating before and then not seeing the progress.
Yeah. Whereas now, I mean, to be frank, you came back from Australia and you looked amazing anyway. You were fit, you were active, you're doing your skating, etc. And I think part of that's just been in your mid-20s. That's just the look of being in your mid-20s, right?
Mm-hmm.
We all remember those times when you could go out, you could do whatever you wanted, and you still were amazing. And when you kind of get a bit older, that kind of isn't as easy to keep that up. But the thing is, you've actually gone from being looking good, feeling good, being active to actually, my God, your muscle definition is kind of, you look like an anatomy class. Let's face
Thank you.
it. And then
definitely a bit more lean and toned these days.
yeah, and your activity level has kind of gone through the roof. And the thing is, you're feeling better for yourself. I've seen you become more mentally focused. I've seen you become more confident. I've seen your energy levels go through the roof now, and you've kind of set a life for yourself that you want to live.
Yeah, and that is good, and I'm happy to hear that from a third party because I do feel that myself. So thank you for sharing that with me. But yeah, like I'd say my natural disposition is to be like more active, like perhaps than others. But I was just sort of around people that were not as active as me, and thought that maybe I was like a little bit abnormal there, and just toned it right down. But now that I've like got a new like life partner and everything, and like worked a bit different than it was, and not in Australia anymore, back in England, like I can get back to that like level of like crazy movement, and also through the knowledge of like doing stuff like this, being able to fuel properly and take the rest, and most importantly, to bring it all back together, like moderate, it is quite great.
Yeah, and I think this is the key thing. It's including that kind of rest time so that actually you don't let the stress of things kind of take over you, because it's great to have those stresses, especially positive stresses in life, such as learning things, moving your body, building muscles, all those kind of things. They kind of are positive stressors, but you need to counteract it all the time. Make sure you've got that relaxation time there so that actually you can make the benefits from having all of that stress.
Yeah, definitely. And like we discussed on the last podcast, if anybody listened to that one, or possibly the one before that one, I'm not too sure. But like you were saying, you dial in the hour on an evening for you. I'm in like a similar position. It probably does work out about an hour of where it's like just me, like maybe on my phone, but probably not. But the phone is kind of irrelevant to this conversation. Don't know why I brought that up. But yeah, I just having that time for yourself. So I guess it is a part of the moderation strategy, really, just to like wind down. That's the big thing, wind down like your brain and your body, and hopefully you got a better chance of like getting a good thorough night's sleep, even if it's possibly shorter than what you perhaps wanted. I think having that relaxation, because I used to be going like doing everything, and then suddenly, boom, lights out, go to bed. And while I probably was falling asleep as a result of exhaustion, it's probably not the best sleep because I'm still buzzing as I'm like going to bed. But everybody's different again. So yeah, that moderation piece, just to have a bit of relaxation time and then the good rest and then start your day again, is definitely what's working for me. And might not work forever, but it is working right now.
Yeah, I think you will adjust it. It'll change over time. Obviously, as your whole life changes, your body changes and everything. But I think having that kind of discipline is a great place to start from, because then straight away you're modifying as opposed to creating. And it's always harder to create something to modify something. And if we think about this in any walk of life, so for example, if you're having to come up with a new plan, actually modifying an old plan is easier. If you're trying to write a book or trying to write a report or trying to write anything really, if you've got a starting position and you've got an outline, you've got topics and all those kind of things, it becomes so much more easier to add the content in than it does to actually go out and do the whole thing from scratch. So that's why there's some really great book writing strategies out there that base them on being able to pull that structure together.
Definitely, but we shouldn't gloss over the fact that modification can also be scary.
Oh.
You've seen this with me a fair bit, and I know, even not even just life, but you use the example of writing books there. I don't write books, but I've written things in my life for things like, sometimes I find it less daunting to start again, but I guess it is still a modification of what I originally wrote. I'm just changing it in a different document. So I'm going to reject my point and actually understand now that I've used that metaphor. But yeah, it can be scary though. I'll keep that there. Modification can be scary, but I guess just do it.
Well, any form of change is scary. I mean, we've got to remember, that's the whole point. Life is trying to always, fear in life is always trying to keep you safe, and therefore, fear of the unknown is a big one. And that is what change really is. It's the unknown. You don't know what's going to go beyond it. So you're in this position where that's going to try and hold you back. And because change, you don't know what's the output going to be. It's risky. It's costly. There's the potential that you could get it wrong. There's fear of kind of judgment and all those kind of things that can happen. So it's not a surprise some people actually almost feel paralyzed by fear. But the difference is fear is inevitable. Fear. Change is inevitable.
Yeah.
So no matter what happens, you're going to change in life anyway.
And I guess if you're modifying little bits over a longer period of time, that's going to be less scary than completely pivot into a different direction.
Yeah. And then what happens is if you don't take control of that change, then change is going to happen to you anyway. So you just end up in a position where you're having change forced on you. And then that might not necessarily be the change you want. It might not take you to the direction you want to go in. And actually, you might end up with a more miserable life. So actually taking control of the change, you still might not end up where you want to be at that point in time, but at least you've got a better chance of redirecting it. And partway through, there's nothing stopping you changing it again and changing it again, because now you've got control.
And is there any modifications that you've made to your running schedule to sort of tie back into this topic?
Yeah, I was actually thinking exactly the same thing, bringing it back down to running and moderation. And I think one of the things thinking about that whole change piece is when you look at the plan. So we talked before about, you get a plan, you work the plan, you make the plan work. And we'll talk a little bit more about that when we do our final episode and this little series on method in 2 episodes time. But it's also been listening to your body, listening to what's going on around you. You're having an incredible stressful week, then trying to fit in 5 training runs that you would be doing if that's what's on your plan into that stressful week it's might actually just compound the problem as opposed to being actually support the problem. So it might be, for example, you then say, okay, well, actually, I'm only going to schedule 3 out of those 5, and you pop in the long run, the speed run, and a recovery run in there. Whereas actually, if you're having a great week, brilliant, do the 5 runs, but still have those couple of days in for rest. Or for example, it might be that it might be a scheduling issue that's causing the issue. It might just be you're not feeling great. It might be you might be a bit run down. It might be that you're just under the weather. It might be just you're frustrated with things that's kind of going on in your life. And in which case, again, if the running helps you clear your mind and give yourself that space, then go ahead and do it. But actually, if you find that you just need the time back so you can actually regroup, repair, recoup, all those type of things, then do so. That's probably more important than going out and doing the run.
Or if it doesn't fit in your schedule, you literally did that today. It just didn't work, so you just moved it to a day it did work.
Yeah, exactly.
And I kept asking, are you sure that's fine? Is that going to mess up your routine? And I did ask you a few times, are you sure? You don't want to try to fit that in, and you seemed pretty confident and adamant that it'd be better to take away the stress today to be able to do it with a better body and relax and more focused tomorrow.
Oh, that's it. I mean, I've got an hour's run to do today, and I could squeeze it in if I really, really wanted to. But the thing is, it's back to back all day. So from starting the classes at 6 o'clock this morning, all the way through my own personal training, then into like the consulting day that kind of starts, into recording the podcasts, through to all the various different meetings and coaching calls, and into then the evening where we've got a firewalking event and things going on. So I can. There is at least 1.5 hours spare in that day where I could fit it in. But that means that I don't have any other time to just stop, relax. And what I'd much prefer, and what I'd probably get more benefit from, is actually stopping, relaxing, spend some time with my family, enjoying having the evening meal with everybody, and then finish off the rest of the evening with the firewalk, etc. Now that would actually support my body, in my opinion, at this point, better than trying to squeeze in yet another run. Would it be good to do another run today? It probably would. I mean, in the fact that it would then give me a rest day tomorrow. I've got then 3 days of running coming up after that. Whereas actually pushing the runs tomorrow just means I've got 4 days of running. There is benefits actually of having 4 days of running, because it means I'll be running on tired legs.
Yeah, and that can be worth its weight in gold sometimes.
Oh, definitely. When you think about some of the longer distance endurance events, you've got to get comfortable being uncomfortable, right? So,
Definitely.
if you're running on tired legs, then effectively you're already in that space where you are uncomfortable.
Yeah, I know what that's like. Not running, but having tired legs constant.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Cool. So, I think just to kind of wrap this one up, I think we're both in great agreement. Moderation is definitely a good thing to have when it comes down to running, or just generally in life.
Yeah, magic moderation, bit of alliteration for you there.
Magic moderation, I love it, and obviously then capitalizing on that sleep and de-stressing. That's obviously two of the other kind of things. Just trying to find those times in your day when you can make that kind of happen.
Yeah, and I'd say just experiment. Like if you are time poor, like there's a million and one reasons to like make an excuse, but you could just try and make these little changes, and the worst thing that happens is it's the worst decision you ever made. You just make, then the next one's going to be better than that. So
Exactly. What is it? You win some, you learn some. That's the old saying.
yeah, that's a better way to put it, isn't it?
So you just got to make sure that you, from the ones that you win, you capitalize on. The ones that you learn, you make sure you learn.
Because some things you do will be completely just wrong, basically. Like it's going to happen. Like, not every decision you make is going to be right, but it's just about the experimentation piece until you get something that works for yourself. Because you can hear so much from many people, such as us wise men here, but it might just not work for you, you know. So yeah, not everything's for everybody. Like someone might say this feels amazing, but to you it just feels like terrible. So
Exactly. So we'd like to thank you, as always, for taking the time out to listen to this episode of the Fit for Business and Life podcast. The Fit for Business and Life podcast is brought to you in partnership with Sharp Fit for Life and the Business Body Network, helping busy professionals and their teams become more happier, healthier, and higher achieving in business and in life. If you'd like to join us as a guest on the show or get in touch to know more about the topic we've been covering, then we'd love to hear from you. But just simply email hello@sharpfitforlife.com. Once again, thank you for listening to the Fit for Business and Life podcast. The Fit for Business and Life podcast is produced and presented by Wax Tie Limited. Copyright is applied.
see you next time.